Rejected. That's probably the last thing any aspiring writer, director, or producer wants to hear. But sometimes it's the ugly truth. Even the best movies, which have gone on to receive multiple awards for their cinematography or special effects, have had a hard time getting their screenplays picked up by a major studio at first. So in today's video, let's look at why 7 of our most favorite movies were originally rejected. First off, let's talk about Get Out, 2017. We didn't see any scary ghosts, aliens, or other supernatural creatures in this movie, but the story and visual effects were enough to give us the creeps. Rose, played by Allison Williams, and Chris, played by Daniel Kaluuya, were invited by her parents to spend the weekend at their house. The guy was worried about meeting them for the first time, and mainly about the fact of what their reaction would be when they found out that she was dating someone of a different race. He started to doubt her parents when he noticed that their African-American staff was acting strangely, as if they were trapped. Director Jordan Peele explained during an interview that the idea for the script came to him when Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama were running for the Democratic nomination in the primaries of 2008. He says that he worked on the outline and story idea for about 5 years while his Comedy Central show, Key and Peele, was on the air. In another interview with Fast Company, he also mentioned that studios who didn't understand the story and called it stupid or foolish were incredibly rude to him when they turned it down. Interestingly, in 2018, the movie was up for an Oscar for Best Original Screenplay, which it won. Next up, we've got Bad Santa, 2003. Most holiday movies have funny stories that try to show how important it is to spend time with family and friends at this time of year. But in the 2003 movie Bad Santa, there was a much darker side of Santa shown. Instead of giving kids gifts, he planned to steal from them. The 2003 comedy is about an alcoholic department store Santa Claus named Willie, played by Billy Bob Thornton, who teams up with a foul-mouthed elf named Marcus, played by Tony Cox, to steal from a shopping mall safe. In the course of the movie, he also becomes a father figure to a bullied boy named Thurman, played by Brett Kelly. A lot of executives didn't like the dark take on a holiday genre. The New York Times said that while one studio wasn't against making a movie that was anti-Christmas, another studio liked the idea. Surprisingly, it turned out that Bad Santa was a gift that kept on giving. The movie became a huge hit with both audiences and critics, and a lot of the actors were called back together for Bad Santa 2, which came out in 2016. Moving on to The Nightmare Before Christmas, 1993. In movies, kids and adults in the town of Christmas Town were scared of, well, Christmas. That's a lot of Xmas for us. The movie was mostly about Jack Skellington, who lived in Halloween Town and was voiced by Danny Elfman. He went outside of his town and found Christmas Town, a place where Christmas was the only holiday. He thought it would be fun to change things up, so instead of Santa bringing gifts, he thought it would be cool to deliver Halloween presents instead. Executives at Disney didn't want their name on the project, so the movie came out under the banner of Touchstone Pictures. Forbes said that the executives were concerned that the film would scare kids and that it wouldn't do well, but now we all know it as a movie that stood the test of time and keeps getting more and more popular. After more than 25 years, it has become one of the most favorite, with new merchandise coming out all the time and an annual overlay at the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland. Nightmare is a movie that will last forever, just like Bambi, Cinderella, and many other classic Disney animated movies. Now for Back to the Future, 1985. Who would have thought that studios would turn down a time-traveling movie with Michael J. Fox as Marty McFly and Christopher Lloyd as Dr. Emmett Doc Brown? Back to the Future, which came out in 1985, takes place in the 1980s. Marty, a high school student, is friends with Doc, a scientist who has just turned a DeLorean into a time machine. A group of men attack them while they are trying out the time machine, but Marty gets away by taking the DeLorean back in time. It's one of those movies that you wouldn't mind watching again and again. In fact, people loved it so much that the producers announced 2 more sequels, Back to the Future 2, which came out in 1989, and Back to the Future 3, which dropped in 1990. We would have never been here talking about this movie if it hadn't come out after getting turned down 40 times. According to Esquire, studios turned down Back to the Future because they thought it couldn't compete with the raunchy movies that were coming out at the time. And Bob Gale, who helped write the movie, remembered that Disney told them that a story about a mother falling in love with her son wasn't right for a Disney family movie. But after seeing how well the other movie by Robert Zemeckis, Romancing the Stone, did, Universal Pictures decided to go for it. Not to mention Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, 1981. In the 1981 movie Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, Harrison Ford played the main character, an archaeology professor and world traveler who was looking for the Ark of the Covenant. People said that it was a powerful object that could kill a lot of people at once. If Indy hadn't been able to find the artifact before Dr. René Belloc did, things would have gone horribly wrong. It was a wild ride with a main character who was a bit rough around the edges, great set pieces, visual effects, cliffhangers, cheesy humor, and one-liners that somehow made their way to the top 10 on our lists. But before it was shown to the world and became a huge critical and commercial success, there was the small matter of making it. Everyone who worked on the movie agreed that it was one of the hardest things they'd ever done. There's no denying denying that the story was pretty cool, and studios initially liked it, but they didn't like how much money the project would need. It was also later revealed that the Indiana Jones writer George Lucas demanded for $20 million while keeping the license and sequels. This would give the studios little control over the franchise. Let's not forget about Rocky, 1976. The story of Rocky Balboa, played by Sylvester Stallone, almost didn't make it to the big screen. He was a boxer from Philadelphia who thought he could still be a respected award winner without also having a second job as a debt collector. He was the main character of the 1976 movie where Apollo Creed, the heavyweight champion who'd never lost, challenged him to a fight so that this guy could get the respect he said he wanted. There have been 9 Rocky movies so far. The most recent one came out in 2018, and Balboa was a trainer in it. Even though the movies are very popular, the first one almost had a different story. Forbes reported that the producers of the movie had said that they would only accept the script and pay $360,000 for it if Stallone was not cast as the main character. At the time, the actor wasn't a household name, but he thought the movie could be a big hit. The producers later decided to reconsider their offer and decided that $1 million would be a reasonable option for the script, and they also agreed to let him play the lead. Finally, we've got The Godfather, 1972. In the movie The Godfather, the Corleone family was the most powerful mob in New York. It might be hard to believe that the story of Don Vito Corleone, played by Marlon Brando, and his son Michael, played by Al Pacino, almost made its way to the rejected list. When they tried to put the story together, the filmmakers ran into a few problems. Insider says that the film's director, Francis Ford Coppola, was fired more than once because the people in charge didn't like how he handled the story or who he cast. But he wasn't the only one who almost got kicked off the project. Executives were almost going to fire Pacino, who played the main character Michael. In 2022, the story of The Godfather was turned into a TV show called The Offer. It showed some of the other problems that the cast and crew had to deal with while making the movie. All in all, we're super glad that it made its way on our screens because we don't know how we would have dealt with the loss of never being able to watch this awesome masterpiece. That's a wrap for this video. What did you think about all these reasons why some award-winning movies were originally rejected? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.